I assumed it was just another ordinary afternoon. The day had been particularly tranquil and serene, and after a demanding day at work, I decided to indulge in a lengthy, steaming bath. The soothing warmth of the water and the rising steam transformed the compact bathroom into a cozy sanctuary. Little did I know that in mere moments, my entire existence would be dramatically altered. An unsettling silence pervaded the house. I could faintly detect the subtle drone of the television from the adjacent room where my sister Timmy's mother was presumably engrossed in her preferred program. My nephew Timmy had been staying with me for several days. Generally, he was a well-behaved, reserved child. Despite his pleasant demeanor, there was an inexplicable quality about him that consistently triggered a sense of unease within me, though I couldn't precisely identify why. As I submerged deeper into the bath, the warmth gradually melted away my tension. I allowed my eyelids to close and released a deep exhale. The week had been particularly challenging, and I desperately needed a moment of respite to escape my thoughts. However, the instant my eyes closed, I detected a gentle shuffling noise from nearby. Initially, I dismissed it. I rationalized it as the house settling, or perhaps a breeze rattling the windows, but then I heard it again. This time a subtle footstep that suggested someone was stealthily approaching the bathroom. My heart faltered as I remained motionless, straining to listen. The bathroom door was secured so nobody could enter, uninvited. Correct? The footsteps grew more pronounced, followed by the distinct sound of the doorknob being manipulated. My stomach churned with anxiety. Who could it be? Perhaps Joey. I called out his name but received no response. I wavered between remaining still and investigating. The suspense was unbearable. The once comforting water now felt confining as my thoughts spiraled. Was this someone's idea of a prank, or was something more sinister unfolding? Then I heard Timmy's voice uncomfortably close, calling out to me. "Aunt!" He whispered, his voice barely audible. A shiver ran down my spine. Why was he whispering? His voice had never sounded quite like this before. My heartbeat accelerated, and I struggled to maintain composure as the atmosphere suddenly grew thick with tension. I had to know what was happening. I finally emerged. "What is it, Timmy?" Despite my voice quivering slightly, after an extended silence, he responded, I need you." His tone wasn't that of a child making a simple request. Instead, his voice carried an unsettling urgency, almost pleading in nature. Though I attempted to steady myself with a deep breath, my fingers instinctively gripped the porcelain edge of the tub with increasing tension. Was my mind playing tricks on me, or had Timmy's demeanor taken an ominous turn? "Come in," I managed to say, after a moment's hesitation. As I turned around, his diminutive silhouette appeared in the doorway, backlit and shadowy. The door had crept open gradually. While I recognized my nephew's familiar form, something about his eyes seemed disturbingly different. They appeared darker, as if concealing something sinister beneath. I blinked repeatedly, uncertain whether exhaustion was clouding my judgment. But as he drew nearer, I noticed something that sent chills through my body. His expression had contorted into something unfamiliar and deeply unsettling. "Aunt," Timmy murmured in an unnaturally low voice. Before I could process the change, he advanced toward the tub's edge. "You're always so preoccupied, but I require your attention now." His tone was unnervingly hollow, his words disconcertingly mature. A wave of nausea swept over me as I realized this wasn't the innocent child I'd known. This had transcended any childish game. My instincts screamed for action, yet I remained paralyzed. As Timmy leaned closer, his fingers made contact with my shoulder, his breath unnaturally cold against my skin, triggering involuntary shivers. Despite my desire to push him away, I remained frozen. "I've been anticipating this moment for so long I won't release you now," he declared, with an eerily composed and measured voice. The atmosphere grew suffocatingly heavy. What was unfolding here? What had prompted this transformation in Timmy? Was this some elaborate act, or had something fundamentally changed? Fear and confusion battled within me as I struggled to maintain my composure. Something was terribly amiss. Escape meant reaching the bathroom door. Though every fiber of my being urged flight, I remained immobilized. Timmy invaded my personal space, further positioning his face mere inches from mine, while his frigid fingers gripped my arm with unsettling strength. "I desire closeness with you," he whispered again. The tone of his voice sent immediate shivers down my spine. His words carried an almost mesmerizing quality, yet they lacked any trace of familial warmth or affection. Instead, they possessed an unnatural calmness that defied explanation. The realization struck me. This had deviated far from normal family dynamics. This wasn't about familial bonds or childhood innocence. This represented something far more sinister. Questions raced through my mind as I grappled with the horrifying situation unfolding before me. How had this transformation occurred so rapidly? What forces were at work within him? Had I overlooked crucial signs that should have been apparent? As these questions tormented my mind, a chilling realization crept in. I might never fully comprehend the situation unfolding before me. There seemed no logical explanation for this dramatic shift or Timmy's disturbing behavior. The most terrifying aspect was how the sweet child I once knew had vanished, replaced by an entity both foreign and frightening. Timothy's grasp on my wrist became vice-like, unyielding. His grip intensified progressively until movement became impossible. The overwhelming combination of terror and bewilderment paralyzed my natural instincts, even as my mind screamed to break free from whatever force now possessed him. "Please," I managed to whisper, my voice trembling uncontrollably. "What are your intentions? What do you seek?" But silence was my only answer. His gaze remained fixed upon me, with an unsettling resolve. The reality of my captivity became increasingly apparent. Despite my attempts to wrench free from his grasp, something in Timmy's eyes held me captive, as if I were bound by an invisible enchantment. My pulse thundered in my ears as escape beckoned. Though I desperately sought a solution, the air grew increasingly oppressive, and Timmy's presence remained constant. "You shall not leave." He breathed his words barely audible. His whispered tones sent shivers cascading down my vertebrae. While maintaining his grip on my arm, his hand began a slow ascent, testing my reactions. Though I yearned to cry out and thrust him away, my voice remained trapped within. What had triggered this transformation? Where was the gentle, pure-hearted child who once regarded me with admiration? Previously, Timmy had embodied kindness, shyness, and curiosity. Now it seemed as though some malevolent force had claimed possession of his being. When the bathroom door creaked once more, I whirled around, hoping to find my sister, but the hallway remained empty with only distant faint footsteps echoing from afar. We remained in isolation. Time was of the essence. I attempted once more to dislodge Timmy's hand, but his strength surpassed my expectations. His intensifying grip fueled my mounting panic. The once comforting warm water now felt like a suffocating abyss. Timmy leaned closer still, his glacial breath ghosting across my neck. "You've always belonged to me," he intoned in a chilling, otherworldly voice. "I've waited patiently for your understanding." His words hung in the air, like a tangible darkness, casting an oppressive shadow over my consciousness. This had transcended beyond childish play. It had morphed into something sinister and menacing. My breath caught in my throat as thoughts raced through my mind like wildfire. I refused to let him dominate me. Resistance was imperative. Yet what mysterious force had possessed him? I searched desperately for traces of my beloved nephew in his features, the cheerful boy who once delighted in games and bedtime tales, but encountered only the calculating gaze of an unfamiliar entity. Acting on instinct, I spotted the small shampoo container perched on the bathtub's edge. Without hesitation, I seized it and hurled it toward Timmy. The impact against his chest momentarily disrupted his concentration. Seizing that precious instant, I struggled to escape the tub, but the slippery surface and my weakened limbs betrayed me. "You cannot escape," Timmy snarled, his voice laced with malice as he advanced, his eyes blazing with an otherworldly intensity. I retreated in absolute terror. His intentions had evolved from mere intimidation to something far more malevolent. My mind frantically searched for an escape route. The bathroom felt like a trap, yet venturing into the house seemed equally perilous. What if he pursued me? What if my strength proved insufficient? Desperate for any semblance of protection, I clutched a towel around myself. Though it provided little comfort, Timmy's determination remained unwavering as he took another menacing step. His eyes held no trace of uncertainty, only a terrifying, calculated control. My voice emerged as a trembling whisper. "This isn't your true self. Something has taken hold of you." My plea of "please stop" went unanswered. His next grasp on my arm was brutal enough to threaten bone. The terror coursing through me reached unbearable heights. My words seemed to fall on deaf ears. It was as though my sweet nephew had been completely erased, replaced by a dark, malevolent force. Suddenly, a distant memory surfaced, barely perceptible, yet seemingly crucial to understanding this nightmare. I recalled Timmy's recent behavioral changes, the unsettling dreams, the odd conduct, the personality shifts that everyone had dismissed as temporary phases. The realization struck with devastating clarity. This wasn't merely a phase, something supernatural had taken root within him. Escape was my only option. I had to survive this ordeal. My sister's muffled voice barely penetrated through the bathroom door, but she was too distant to provide any assistance. In this terrifying confrontation, only Timmy and I remained. Fear transformed into an unexpected source of strength. Survival instinct took over, compelling me to fight with every fiber of my being, summoning all my remaining energy. I wrenched my arm free from Timmy's vice-like grip. The moment I pushed him away, a fleeting hope of escape flickered through my mind. However, he lunged forward with inhuman speed, his hand clasping my wrist with supernatural force as he yanked me back toward him. Desperately, I grabbed the shampoo bottle once more, this time wielding it as a defensive tool. I smashed it against his face, hoping to disorient him enough to facilitate my escape. He staggered momentarily, confusion clouding his features, before his eyes refocused with an even more terrifying resolve. "Why do you resist?" Timmy inquired. His tone was unnaturally composed, almost condescending. "You belong to me. I've always cherished you." His grip loosened slightly, and I seized that precious opportunity. I leaped from the bathtub, hastily wrapping a towel around myself, while ignoring the biting cold. Though my legs trembled violently, adrenaline surged through my veins. My heart thundered in my chest as I bolted toward the bathroom door. I had no choice but to leave him behind. Whatever entity had possessed Timmy was beyond my capacity to confront alone. As I flung open the door, I found my sister standing there, drawn by the commotion. Fear was etched across her face, but explanations would have to wait. There wasn't a moment to spare. "Jack!" I screamed. But upon turning around, he had vanished. The bathroom stood empty, as if nothing had transpired. My sister rushed to comfort me, but I struggled to articulate the inexplicable events I had just experienced. The sweet, playful child Timmy once was had completely disappeared. He had transformed into something malevolent. As my sister attempted to console me, I caught a glimpse of Timmy observing from the shadowy hallway. His dark eyes gleamed ominously in the dim light, sending chills down my spine with his ethereal presence. While uncertainty clouded the future, one thing remained crystal clear. This ordeal was far from over. The following days would only bring increasingly bizarre occurrences. The atmosphere within the house grew increasingly oppressive, and Timmy's behavior became progressively more erratic. Yet somehow I alone seemed to notice these changes. My sister dismissed my concerns as paranoid delusions when I tried to explain the bathroom incident despite my growing anxiety. However deep within my soul, I knew with absolute certainty that Timmy had transcended the boundaries of normal childhood existence. A perpetual sense of unease haunted me. Knowing that the malevolent force possessing Timmy wouldn't simply dissipate, I was certain that others would eventually witness the truth I had discovered. But I feared that revelation might come too late. If you're intrigued by what transpired next, please support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. But don't assume this tale ends here. There's much more darkness to unfold.